Arihito is a doormat who gets reincarnated into a world full of dangerous labyrinths and picks the most dangerous job as a supporting rear guard. However, everything changes when he discovers that his job gives him an unknown strength that turns him into an overpowered Chad, making all the baddies want him to support them freaky style from the back. It all starts when Arihito and his co-workers are on a bus, en route to go skiing together. The next thing they know, they are all lined up in an empty dimension. When Arihito looks around, he realizes everyone standing there is his co-worker, making him suspect they all died in a sudden bus crash. Just then, a blue-haired girl pops up out of nowhere and gives Arihito a license before informing him to head to the guild to find a job the second he gets reincarnated. She then pushes him from behind, and Arihito finds himself dropped into a brand new fantasy world, right in the middle of Labyrinth Country. When he finds the guild, he goes inside and spots one of his co-workers, Suzuna, registering to get a job. The receptionist accepts Suzuna's request to become a shrine maiden. As Suzuna walks past Arihito, she gets confronted by a blonde-haired adventurer named Alicia, who offers Suzuna a spot to join her party. Suzuna explains that she is completely new to the city, but Alicia assures her she already knows, considering that only people who get reincarnated go to the guild to register. While Alicia is trying to convince Suzuna to form a party with her, bystanders all start gossiping about how people do not last long in Alicia's party. Suzuna ends up accepting anyway, which makes Alicia happy. Arihito goes to register next. The receptionist, Luisa, explains she will now register him as a seeker, the title for people allowed to enter and explore labyrinths. Arihito first asks her what Labyrinth Country really is, and Luisa explains that it is a nation where seekers get reincarnated and where they go to enter their respective labyrinths. Processing all of this, along with the cold reality that he is actually dead, makes Arihito experience severe headaches. Luisa quickly offers to take him to meet healers, but he assures her he is fine and redirects focus back to his registration. She tells him to look at his license and check through all available jobs, which he is free to pick from. He thinks about his old life for a minute, where he had to work a dead-end job under his boss Kyoka, who consistently worked him to the bone. With that in mind, he tells himself that in this new life, he should pick a job that is easy and sets him up for a nice, comfortable living. Just then, someone calls his name. When he turns around, he is electrocuted by shock when he sees his old busty boss, Kyoka, standing there. They chit-chat about how they both died and got reincarnated here, and Kyoka talks about how she is still not used to the idea of fighting monsters in her future. Hearing that surprises Arihito, and Kyoka teaches him that in this world, monster hunting is a serious thing, and that their job choice and who they make parties with matter a lot. She suggests he pick a job that could help her out, but knowing how she was in the past, Arihito first asks which job she picked. Before she answers, Kyoka wants to ask him to stop treating her like his boss, but she stops herself. She reveals that she is now a Valkyrie who wields swords, wears armor, and is able to use magic. She believes the job they pick determines how useful they are in the future, so she suggests Arihito pick one that not a lot of people select. Arihito thanks her for the advice and wishes her the best. While Kyoka wants to say something more, she decides to stop their conversation there and leaves to find a party, a look of sadness on her face. Arihito sees the sadness on her face, but tells himself she will be fine. He turns back to the receptionist, who explains that every seeker has contribution points, which are affected by the things they do like treasure hunting and saving lives. These points determine their place in the seeker hierarchy, which dictates a seeker's status, from where they live to what they eat, with lower levels even having to sleep in stables, which is something Arihito knows he definitely wants to avoid. He asks about the rear guard position, and Luisa explains that rear guards are essential to any party, but it is the position nobody wants to pick, meaning there is always a high demand for them. Hearing that, Arihito decides he is going to be a rear guard and writes it down on his license. To his shock, his writing suddenly transforms into a strange barcode-like language. When he shows it to Luisa, she also gets confused, but quickly pulls back her composure to congratulate Arihito on becoming a rear guard. Arihito asks for an explanation for what happened, and Luisa admits she does not know herself, though she believes he is now a rear guard exactly as he wrote down. However, she suspects the barcode language will make it hard for him to find a party, so she helps him out by giving him mercenary tickets. With tickets in hand, the first thing Arihito does is put points into his defense and recovery stats, even though he does not know how that affects him yet. He heads over to the mercenary office, where he meets Layla, the muscular baddie assistant manager. He tells her he wants to use his mercenary tickets, and she explains she can give him a demi-human to help him, a rogue lizard man who is a jack of all trades in using equipment, which would be useful for the first floor of the labyrinth. Arihito agrees to the suggestion and imagines what a lizard man might look like, but when Layla brings her out, he is surprised to see the lizard man is actually a woman who looks quite normal. She gets introduced as Teresia, a former human turned into a demi-human who will transform into a lizard man if she dies in the labyrinth. However, Louisa adds that she can be returned to her former human form if the transformation is undone, but for now, she acts almost like a robot who will follow Arihito's exact commands. Arihito shakes her hand, and they are on their way to the labyrinth, with a catapult in one hand and a lizard woman by his side. He feels bad that a cute girl like Teresia has to fight in front of him, so he tells himself they will just target weak monsters and call it a day. When they reach the first floor labyrinth called the Field of Dawn, they run into a party of veteran seekers led by Ribalt. Ribalt explains that they just ran into a busty babe Valkyrie, whom Arihito instantly knows to be Kyoka. Ribalt explains that he and his crew make their money by saving injured people in the labyrinth and pulling them out, so he tells Arihito to call out for them if he ever needs help. Seeing that Arihito is a rookie and has a mercenary by his side, Ribalt advises Arihito to stay far away from named monsters, assuring him that rookies like him always die against those beasts. After thanking the veterans for their advice, Arihito and Teresia head inside the labyrinth. Inside, they run into a little fluff ball, and when Arihito checks, it is a level 1 cotton ball, which he assumes will be an easy opponent. To his shock, the cotton ball moves ridiculously fast, forcing Teresia to jump in and defend Arihito, taking damage from the cotton ball's attack. Arihito sees that her health level is decreasing exponentially, and he thinks hard about how he can help Teresia, despite feeling like a useless bum. He suddenly remembers the abilities he has, and quickly uses them to create a defensive barrier to help her. Using their teamwork, Arihito shoots the cotton ball with his catapult, creating an opening for Teresia to slice it cleanly in half. Seeing the wounds on Teresia, Arihito apologizes to her, and thanks her for protecting him. Just then, they hear a scream in the distance. When they run toward it, they find Kyoka and her party going against a red cotton ball. But her party members recognize it as a named monster, putting Kyoka and the others' lives at risk. Arihito and Teresia quickly rush down to help, and they witness how Kyoka uses a Valkyrie skill to save one of her party members. But then some other party member gets absolutely spooked, and he quickly uses his skills to transport himself and his party out of there. To Arihito's surprise, it doesn't include Kyoka, who turns out wasn't part of their party. Seeing that she's all alone, Arihito quickly helps and shoots the powerful red cotton ball, and Kyoka follows that up with a thunderbolt. But that barely leaves a mark on the enemy, and it charges at Kyoka. Arihito quickly activates his defense barrier, but it fails to materialize, which ends with Kyoka getting rammed hard. Seeing that, Arihito remembers that his abilities can only help party members, and he fully regrets not making a party with her earlier. Kyoka weakly apologizes for being useless, but Arihito apologizes back to her, and locks back in for a fight. The enemy then charges at Kyoka, but Arihito sends Teresia straight at the enemy, and by enhancing the lizard woman's attack, her strike is enough to defeat the little red ball of doom. With the enemy defeated, Arihito orders Teresia to fetch Ribalt, but in that moment, Arihito realizes that his level has gone up, so he quickly uses his points to activate recovery support. He then tends to Kyoka and asks her to join his party so he can heal her. She accepts his invitation, and her health increases with the help of Arihito's healing skill. Then, Ribalt picks up Kyoka to get her help, and Akihito fetches the little cotton ball into his inventory. In that moment, Alicia and Suzuna pop up, and when Alicia finds out that Arihito defeated a red cotton ball, she is shocked, considering that little thing is able to wipe out parties by itself. Suzuna then asks about Kyoka, and Arihito assures her that Kyoka's vitality has been restored. Hearing that, Alicia assumes that there is a powerful rear guard around there and asks to be introduced. Remembering how Alicia wanted to party up with a rear guard, Arihito decides to hide his job and walks away. He then returns to Layla with Teresia, and Layla is astonished to find out that Arihito survived the battle on his first day. But with Teresia's contract being up, Layla tells her it's time to leave Arihito's party. To Layla's absolute shock, the lizard woman puts her hand on Arihito's chest, a sign that shows that she's fond of him, before leaving the party. Arihito then asks if there's a way he can add Teresia into his party, considering that they have great chemistry and teamwork. With a serious face, Layla tells him that it will cost him 100 copper tickets, and she adds that the only reason she's telling him this is what she just saw just now. Then, Arihito returns to the guild and is greeted by a worried Louisa, and he asks her to talk privately. There, he shows her the results of his endeavor, and Louisa is blown away by the fact that he defeated a red cotton and gained over 200 contribution points, which is double the average for a rookie. She then also shows him that he gained level 50 trust, which is 10 times the average, and it astonishes her even more that Arihito's partner was a demi-human. Arihito thinks about Teresia's chest touch, and realizes that as a rear guard, his strengths are supporting the fighters in front of him, but the more he supports them, the more fond they are of him, which he realizes can be troublesome. Louisa continues to glaze him, saying that from what she's seen, Arihito has the potential to be the strongest rear guard in the world. But Arihito quickly tells her not to tell anyone, and she understands that if people find out, they will all want to make use of him. Then she reports that his rank skyrockets into the top half of this district alone, and that gives him the privilege of a suite in a hotel. But before he goes there, Arihito goes to visit Kyoka, who has recovered. She thanks him for saving her and points out how high he shot up in ranks, which makes her think that other parties would now want him. On the other hand, she mentions how she failed horribly, which ended with her getting 0 contribution points, and she admits that she became a Valkyrie just because it sounded cool, which ended badly for her. However, Arihito tells her that she was cool during the fight, and that her presence motivated him to win the fight. Arihito then invites her to properly join his party, and while she turns her face away flustered, she accepts and joins. He then takes her walking around town and decides that from then on she will stay with him in his place. They stop by a clothing shop, and Arihito mentions how he's not used to seeing her out of formal clothing, which reminds them how they never really hung out outside of work, or even talked about anything not work-related. Kyoka then confesses that in her old life she had a curfew and that her parents were strict. They then go shop for weapons, and Kyoka continues her story about how her parents wanted her to marry the guy they picked, but now that she died, she's now free from that responsibility. The two then sit down for a drink, and after hearing her story, Arihito finally understands why her former boss was so strict. Just then, they hear a couple of seekers gossiping about Alicia, who they call the Death Sword. Arihito listens to how Alicia is known to snatch up rookies and force them to level up for something involving the White Knight Brigade. That night, Arihito and Kyoka sleep in separate beds next to each other, with a curtain between them. However, Kyoka wakes him up in the middle of the night and asks him not to face her while he sleeps. Her demand confuses him, but to his surprise, he sees that his ability is still active, as it sees them as a vanguard and a rear guard. He quickly goes to sleep on the sofa, and sees that his recovery support skill is in effect even outside of combat, which forces him to move his sleeping position. The next day, the two of them and Teresia go on a quest, and when Teresia stays silent when Kyoka tries talking to her, Kyoka gets worried, but Arihito assures her that it's normal. They armed themselves with new equipment, with fire resistance and fire damages, which they crafted using the red cotton they captured before. With the new toys, they hunt down white cotton and bees, using their teamwork with Arihito as their support. After slaying a lot of them, they think about whether they should go to the next level. Arihito hesitates, knowing that there are more named monsters on level 2, and that they risk their lives if they run into one. He decides that they should retreat, but they suddenly hear a scream, and that pushes the party to quickly enter the second floor. Inside, they find Alicia and Suzuna fighting a fanged orc and bees, and when they see Alicia in action, Arihito and the others quickly jump in and target the bees. With their teamwork, they manage to defeat the bees before they hurt Suzuna. They then confront Alicia for being reckless, seeing that she almost caused Suzuna's death. Alicia explains that she needs Suzuna to get strong quickly, and Arihito mentions the White Knight Brigade, which quickly shuts Alicia up. He asks if she's planning to return to the White Knight Brigade, and Alicia says that she will never return to them, but she has to save her friend Misaki from danger. Alicia then explains that Misaki is Suzuna's best friend, who chose the job of gambler in this world, thinking that she had amazing luck. But then, during a quest, she picked up a treasure chest which turned out to be a trap, and when she opened it, it transported her away. Alicia believes that it was a floor warp trap, so it must have sent her somewhere on this floor, and while Kyoka is listening to all of this, it reminds her of her near-death experience, and she insists to Arihito that they help rescue Misaki, refusing to do nothing about it. Arihito agrees, and the first thing he asks Alicia is whether there are any parties on this floor. She tells him that there are not, but she did feel someone was watching them the moment they entered this floor. Hearing that, Arihito suspects the previous evil party from the bar, and he realizes that not all parties are willing to help their search. With that in mind, Arihito reveals to them that he is a rear guard, and he asks them to join his party for this one time so he could use his support skills on them. Remembering how competent he was, Alicia believes that he could be the reason they save Misaki, but she chooses to stay solo while ordering Suzuna to join his party, reasoning that since her level is way higher than theirs, it will get them fewer experience points if she joins. Then, before they start their search, Alicia gives them a warning, telling them that if she tells them to run, they have to run away and leave her behind, which Arihito agrees to. The two of them then shake hands, and they introduce themselves to each other's party, and when Teresia raises her hand for a handshake, Suzuna quickly hops to her to shake her hand. They then go on their search and suddenly hear Misaki scream, and when they go after it, they find her facing fanged orcs, and a gigantic one, which Arihito recognizes as a juggernaut. Knowing that the monster isn't supposed to be on this floor, Alicia suspects someone sent it here, so that Arihito and his crew will eliminate it for them. And Arihito quickly suspects the suspicious seekers back at the bar, and suspects that they are watching them right now. Alicia charges at the monsters with no hesitation, and she damages them with ease, which impresses Arihito. But then, red aura starts coming out of her, and she starts tweaking out of her mind, screaming at the others to run away. When Arihito checks, he realizes that she's a berserker who has no control over her powers. Alicia continues attacking the monsters, but she has no effect on the Juggernaut and gets herself captured. She tells Arihito and the others to run away, and Arihito knows that they could, but seeing the struggle that she went through, he refuses to run. He shoots his catapult at the Juggernaut to save her, and orders the others to run away and leave him if things go south. However, Kyoka refuses, insisting that she and the others are staying until the very end. Arihito knows that a direct hit from the Juggernaut would send them to a Michael Jackson's concert. But seeing that Alicia is able to avoid its attacks, it gives him hope that they can actually defeat it. He then begs Alicia to join his party even if it's temporary, and the others join in telling her to join, believing that Arihito has a plan to win. Seeing their conviction, Alicia joins their party, and Arihito orders her to use offensive moves that deal a lot of attacks. She then follows his orders, and with his support skill, her attacks are enhanced heavily, which is enough for her to defeat the Juggernaut. The others celebrate the win, but Arihito quickly orders them to stay engaged, and in that moment, they spot the evil party lurking. They aim to attack Alicia, but Arihito and his crew quickly react and defeat them using the power of friendship. Arihito then quickly checks on Alicia, who confesses that she has no strength left, but he assures her that she'll be fine, as his recovery skill will replenish her to full strength. Alicia then says how Misaki has extremely bad luck, so it makes her glad that she's able to save her. Just then, Misaki wakes up, and when she sees that she's safe and that Suzuna is there with her, she quickly hugs her in tears, glad that she's alive. Seeing that relief Arihito and Alicia, and she promises that she will explain to him about her berserk condition later. Arihito then approaches the Juggernaut's corpse and finds the same black box that traps Misaki and warped her somewhere. Alicia explains that they are treasure chests that get dropped by named monsters, and that the black ones are extremely rare, but she insists that he doesn't do what Misaki did, and instead find a chest cracker to open it safely. Misaki then pops up to gleefully thank Arihito for saving her, and admits that she has no idea about labyrinths and stuff, so she promises to buy better gear to be better prepared next time. However, she suddenly asks him to buy her dinner, which confuses him, but that gives Alicia an idea that they all should grab dinner after reporting back to the guild. Arihito agrees and tells Teresia that they must first return to the mercenary office, but she stands there and doesn't respond. Kyoka suspects that Teresia actually wants to join them for dinner, and when Teresia steps forward, it confirms her suspicion. Misaki then joyfully starts caressing the lizard woman's head, saying that her hoodie feels soft, and Teresia can't help but blush a little. Back at the guild, Luisa is shocked to find out that Arihito and his crew managed to defeat a whole Juggernaut, even almost collapsing at that fact. She then brings Arihito and Teresia for a cup of tea to explain to them that facing Juggernauts is extremely rare, and even reveals that a party of 24 people once took a Juggernaut, and they all died. However, she reveals that Bergen, the seeker who tried to ambush them, was also there hiding, and Arihito suspects that Bergen planned to wait for the Juggernaut to be defeated and take the winnings for himself. Luisa assures him that the guild will handle Bergen, and that brings Arihito to a question on whether Labyrinth Country has a king. Luisa explains that the family who founded the country has been banished, and the country is now led by the heads of the cathedral. He then asks if they are the reason why they have no other choice but to become seekers, and Luisa explains that they have to consider that dangerous labyrinths exist everywhere else in this world. Luisa then goes to check and result activity log back in the labyrinth, and the log says that Arihito did everything from defeating Juggernauts and bees, and gaining points and treasures, and even the trust of every one of his party members, which resulted in him achieving 4 digits in contribution points, which puts him ranked 2nd in the whole district, completely impressing Luisa. Just then, Misaki barges inside and tells Arihito for dinner, saying that she's starving. That gives him an idea, and he invites Luisa to join them for dinner, considering how helpful she has been, to which she happily agrees to go on to. They then gather and sit Arihito down in the middle as their leader, but when it comes to other people's sitting positions, they start arguing over who should sit beside him, which reminds him of his days in the office. However, Misaki doesn't care about the discussion and decides to sit right beside him, saying that she's a great drink pourer. After Teresia happily plopped down beside him and the others took their seats, Misaki starts asking Arihito how old he is and what kind of girls he is into, even suspecting that he either prefers Luisa's or Kyoka's massive melons, or even quiet girls like Suzuna. Arihito quickly changes the subject and starts the dinner. They then ask him to deliver a toast, but before he does so, he tells everyone there's something important, and that is how he's planning to permanently make Teresia a party member, and how he's planning to return her to her normal human body. Kyoka then asks if he knows how to do it, and Arihito remembers what Layla told him about how the transformation needs to be undone, so he admits that while he doesn't know yet, he will continue to find out. Luisa chimes in and says that from what she heard, turning demi-humans back to their human form requires them to go to District 4's cathedral, which is a tough ask for people who just got into District 8, and Alicia even adds that the furthest she went was District 5. Arihito then expresses how he would understand if none of them are willing to come with him for this mission. But Kyoka jumps in first to say that she's more than happy to help him, remembering how back in their office days, he was always so caring for others. Luisa states that she believes, from what they saw from Arihito, that in time, they will reach District 4. Misaki and Suzuna agree to go too, but Suzuna says that she wants to hear from Alicia first before ultimately making her decision. Alicia then tells them that she has problems that started from her sword, the Scarlet Emperor, which she earned from a treasure after defeating a named monster. She explains that the blade cannot be unequipped and will always get stuck to her, which will always turn her into a berserker every time she touches blood. She then reveals it all started from her days in the White Knight Brigade, which is a group of seekers who seek out treasures purely to be stronger, not caring whether the treasure they acquire are dangerous or not. Arihito points out how dangerous that is, and Alicia admits that she regretted that she only cared about being strong, which now cursed her with the Scarlet Emperor. Because of that, she's able to relate to Teresia, so she agrees to help Arihito in his mission if Arihito agrees to help her to be able to move forward. Arihito agrees, believing that they should help each other, and even suggests that on their journey to District 4, they'll find a way to get Alicia away from the cursed sword. With that, they officially become a party. But right after their dinner, a drunken duo of Kyoka and Luisa start jumping around, wanting to visit bars. Alicia, alongside Misaki and Suzuna, agrees to take the drunken duo back to Arihito's place, which leaves Arihito to bring Teresia back to the mercenaries' office. There they meet Layla, and Arihito hands her the 100 copper tickets to officially buy Teresia from the mercenaries. It amazes her to see a rookie like him get this much money so quickly, and she admits that she has always dreamed that a good man would free one of her mercenaries away from her, claiming that she wants to give the mercenaries their souls back. She believes that good man is Arihito, and he insists that he simply wanted to repay the first friend he ever made in this world. He expresses how, despite not being able to speak, he can sense what Teresia is feeling, and while Luisa can't read people's feelings, she believes that Teresia genuinely took a liking to him. After shaking hands and saying goodbye, they leave the mercenaries' office, and Arihito notices how Teresia always walks behind him, so he tells her that she can walk anywhere, considering that she's now free. She first chooses to walk in front of him just like in battle, but then walks beside him as a friend. When they reach home, Arihito is informed that Misaki took over his bed and fell asleep, but he assures them that it's okay. Kyoka and Luisa walk out, wanting to take a bath, and they invite the others to do the same. Just then, Alicia tells Arihito that since his rank has gone up, he should decide where to live. Luisa reminds him that since he's now ranked 7th in District 8, which amazes everyone, he is eligible to live in a royal suite. Luisa warns that if he were to choose a royal suite, Alicia and Suzuna will lose the room. When Arihito asks why, they explain that a party can have a maximum of 8 people, so Arihito must select a place that allows all of them together. Alicia suggests that they all live in the same place, and Arihito tells them that he'll think about it. After settling down in his room, he tells Teresia that she's free to sit down and relax if he wants to. He then goes to check some new skills he can invest in, but gets curious and asks Teresia for her seeker's license. Instead of giving it to him, she shows him the mercenary mark on her neck, asking him to press it. When he does, it turns blue, and his license shows her abilities as his slave. Just then, Misaki comes out after a good sleep on Arihito's bed, thanking him for the great shut-eye. She then asks her why she chose to be a gambler for her job, and Misaki tells him that back in the real world, she had tremendous luck winning lottery tickets on the daily. After that, Arihito and his lizard friend go to the open bath, and Arihito tells Teresia to join the girls. He then spends his bath all alone enjoying the big bathroom. But while he's shampooing his head, someone keeps poking him, trying to say something, and it frightens him to see Teresia there with him, fearing that she might see his glizzy. Suddenly, she takes off her armor, showing him her magnificent plot. He tries once more to get her to the women's bathroom, but she instead insists on washing his back, which he is forced to accept. But then she starts washing his front, and he tries his best to prevent doing a full salute, especially when he feels the pudding sensation on his back. They then enjoy the hot water, and to his shock, Teresia collapses due to the heat, and it's there that he remembers that she is a lizard by nature. After returning to the room, he cools her down with a fan while the others watch, and while they understand that Teresia is simply trying to show her appreciation to Arihito, they also tease her for wanting to gobble the golden pickle. Misaki then presents a way for them to divide the rooms, and remembering how Kyoka wanted to get cracked the night before because of his skill, he is relieved when he finds that he gets to sleep alone on the couch. Teresia then joins him on the couch, and even though he tells her she doesn't have to, she wants to watch over him. Arihito then goes to check his scale, and decides to acquire Hawkeyes, allowing him to see everything around him, which he thinks will be useful in battle as a rear guard. Then, while Arihito is asleep, Kyoka and the others come out of their room, all acknowledging that because of his rear guard abilities, they all feel tingly and hot whenever they're around him. They see Teresia there, and decide to join her to watch Arihito sleeping, while secretly imagining freaky scenarios. They see his shirt house opened, and starts drooling, but then Misaki takes it a step further, and even gets the girls to start dripping somewhere else. Both Luisa and Kyoka both use his muscular hands as a toy, while the others watch in jealousy. But then, Aritomo makes a noise, and they quickly go back to their rooms. The next morning, Arihito asks the girls if something happened the night before, and Kyoka quickly denies it, while the others laugh, knowing what she did last night. They then go to the same blacksmith they got their weapon upgrades from, and the old blacksmith informs them that the juggernaut they brought in is in the process of being dismantled for weapon and armor crafting. The blacksmith's daughter expresses how seeing the juggernaut makes her want to come back as a seeker, knowing that she would get to face rare monsters with them. Arihito then tells the blacksmith to hold on to the juggernaut so Arihito can decide whether to make weapons out of it or to sell it. It leaves Arihito with now having to pick a new place to live, and meeting the trash cracker to see what's inside the treasure they got from the juggernaut. That brings us to the end of today's video. If you watched up to this point, and want the next episode recapped, comment down Emperor. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out this next video. It might just be your favorite anime recapped.